Go.
My audio working? What the heck? Hold on one sec. What the heck? Oh, there we go. Had it turned down all the way.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, how we doing?
Oh, pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's nice here in Seattle. It's been nice for a couple weeks now.
Right on. Yeah, me too. It's getting warmer weather.
Uh-huh.
Not
Yeah.
not quite there yet, but next week's supposed to be like 80. So looking
Okay,
forward
cool.
to that. Yeah.
Cool. How's the fruit diet going? You kind of mixing it up or staying pretty strong?
So I'm kind of off that now, actually. I saw an iridologist back in when was that? March. And
Okay.
I've slowly been transitioning off of the fruit. Just I'm on like 12 different herbs with two different herbal tinctures, and then it's more gut building and less detoxing.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so sort of back on the adding in different types of foods, and even I even ate some fish the other day.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, it's a completely different energy and like type of healing. I think there was some negative things that were happening because I was kind of detoxing too much and not building enough
Mm-hmm.
based on my own body type and what I need to heal. So like I'm targeting my thyroid, but there was a lot that the fruit only was not helping with. uh, especially in terms of my liver. I actually started to show signs of jaundice, which is like an autoimmune thing that has to do with your liver production or liver
Hmm.
filtration. So,
Hmm.
the fruit thing, uh, I definitely still vibe with it, and I understand it in like a very deep level in terms of what it can do for detoxification. And I'll likely do further cleanses that are going to be specifically fruit or even dry fasting or water fasting at some point. But I think right now, with where my hormones and levels are at, it makes more sense to follow this path currently. Um, it's interesting. It's a whole different vibe. What about you? Are you doing, what's your diet like lately?
Uh, I'm eating chicken and I'm eating some carbs. Like rice really doesn't work for me too much, but I'm getting some vegetables. Um, I like to have a few days where I like get the citrus going, and then I I feel really good when I drink my urine when I'm fully hydrated. Same thing with watermelon. I'll have watermelon like 3 times a day and a couple meals, but space them out. And then, of course, I get all that water from the watermelon that I can use for the next day when I'm not eating as much fruit. So it's kind of working the cost thing too, because fruit's really expensive now. It's like the same price, but now instead of a 3 pound bag of little satsumas, it's a 2 pound bag. Like fuck, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm really trying to balance that. And then the most of the meats and meals that I get are uh, a barter that I'm doing for taking care of and training a dog that I
Okay.
trained and known forever.
Yeah,
One of
you.
my dog's best friends. Yeah, you probably know about that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So really good, tasty meals. I heat in the oven and good stuff like flank steak with asparagus, something like that. And then recently, Tommy got some uh, meat from a friend that bought a half a cow or something, and then
Oh, okay.
selling their house or something. So they're like, "Hey, take as much as you want out of the freezer." So I had like twice this week. I had top sirloin, and I seared it perfectly, ate it very rare. And I was thinking about this, how much it I didn't feel any sluggishness. Probably, I mean, because I haven't eaten a lot of that, but also the quality of it, you
Hmm.
know. And I remember this feeling. What was that? 2011, 2012. Started 2012. I got a staph infection in my upper tibia, just below the knee. I have this Hodgkin's Slaughter's bump, so
Okay.
it gets callous. So I would kneel down on it. It got an infection in there from getting dried out, and I was kneeling down when I was personal training and stuff, right?
Yeah.
When I was on all these antibiotics and stuff, and laid up for a month or so, and one of my buddies was staying with me, and he was like, "Look, we're gonna get like the best beef we can get." So we ate like prime. What is it called? It's
Primer.
like just yeah, it's just like a disc like that. It's the leanest meat. I can't even think of the name of it. Anyways, we'd have that like 3 times a week for like a month, and then with some vegetables or something. And I remember just like it felt like it healed me pretty damn quick in
Wow.
that. Like I was like 3 months of kind of being laid up. That final third really kind of accelerated the healing just by eating pretty clean, but also not a lot of junk in the meat. It wasn't meat from like Safeway or something. It was like from a butcher, and you
Yeah.
know, he went all out, hooked me up. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of feeling the effects of that, but I still love getting the citrus and the watermelon in as much as I can. Bananas, I love bananas, but those don't really hydrate you. Those kind of slow you down a little bit, even though I eat them pretty lean or
Yeah.
pretty.
I've been eating a ton of blueberries and strawberries lately. That's the so like he said, my ear dollar said I got some sort of virus that's still feeding off of the glucose of the fruit, and it basically he wants to me to clean that out before I kind of like go back into doing just more fruit in general, and he has me on some sort of supplement to lower the amount of like glucose uptake or something like that. Like so I take that with if I'm gonna eat like any other fruits, I can still do fruits, but he just like wants me to have that as part of it for
uh,
forget exactly what it was. But yeah,
like meal prior to eating, like 20
yeah,
minutes or something.
yeah.
The Garcia Cambogia.
I don't think I've heard of that. What's that?
Um, it's I took it when I was bodybuilding. It kind of helped the carbohydrates get set up, almost like an enzyme in your stomach, so it doesn't sit, and it converts sooner to energy. So it's kind of a enzyme type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so kind of God, it's been so long. I was stacking it with a lot of different stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you noticed any changes in your bolt, like in general? Have you done the full fruit?
And I've gone pretty strong, but not anything. I've never made it like a full day or two. I can go, but we started working for me last summer. And the summer before was going almost all day, and then having a meal at the end of the day to kind of ground, and then be able to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be just too feeling too light, and I just couldn't. It'd be like 2 a.m. and like not even tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's only like the first couple nights of the week, and then after that you're just tired all day. Like shit, and behind. Uh,
I did that for like 3 or 4 weeks during the winter, and I was the most ungrounded. I was like literally floating, like out in outer space. It was an interesting thing to like experience because I definitely felt like higher vibrations mentally, but definitely also not very grounded, and that was a little unsettling at some points. Like I would get up too fast, and I'd be like, "Oh, I almost passed out," and that's not good, you know.
Mm, right. Yeah. Yeah. Bolt is still about the same. Um, yesterday, I don't know if you were on yesterday's call or
I
not, but
couldn't-
it was amazing. The recording's great. I mean,
yeah,
it got down to some serious like back and forth with a bunch of different people and
really.
really informative, especially if someone was new too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so definitely a good watch there. Um, but shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. Um, oh, I my bowl. If I find if I don't really look at a clock, I go longer.
Oh yeah,
And
all the time.
whenever whenever I'm driving, I just like I can just bang out breath holds. Like, and even with no warm up, I'm just like, oh, I'm kind of stressed. I'm gonna do some breath holds. Like a minute and a half, it seems easy, but I just let go to just kind of get the effect of, you
Mm-hmm.
know, each set gets a little harder. But yeah, I can have anywhere from a 25 to 35 volt, just one off
Mm-hmm.
there driving in the car. I don't know what it is, maybe because you get to just face off in, you know.
Yeah, I kind of disassociate from whatever. Yeah, the red.
Yeah, something, man, something.
I got a new car like a few months ago, probably I think in January because I had to, and it's got
Yeah,
one of those things where if you press on the brake, it starts like saving energy or something. So I've been doing
yep.
my breath holds with that, so I can time it with that, because I'll do it at a red light, and then like so I've been doing the same thing. That's funny that you mentioned that.
Oh yeah, it restarts to when you start moving again.
Yeah, it like puts your car to sleep or whatever to save energy. And so I've
Yeah,
been utilizing those for breath holds. It's
yeah, yeah.
it's
Very cool.
funny. It's
Very
like
cool.
always recoding, right? You know?
Yep, yep. And what else? So otherwise, at the top of hills, I'm still opening my mouth like the last like 20 seconds of some effort,
Mm-hmm.
and so I give myself about 6 breaths at the end like that, and then I go to 4 to 6 nasal until it calms down, and then back to just nasal while I'm riding.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of really getting into it a little bit because no one else is really talking about anything for bikes like that. So because it's really hard to ride along and then do like an effort with a breath hold. It's easier to do it from a standing stop, like a sprint when you're running. It's, okay, breath hold, you don't pinch because you got to ride the bike. And then start pedaling for like sprint 20 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever. Um, so I found that the rolling along to try and do an effort, your heart rate's already up a little bit to try
Mm-hmm.
and do a hold for a max effort. It's really hard to recover.
Mm.
Uh, it actually kind of felt like it made me a little bit weaker because when you're rolling and then do a breath hold for like 20 seconds or something like that on an effort, when you're coasting after that, right? But you can't even really pedal anymore. It's like you don't have any power, so you kind of lose your pedal technique because you're just like, oh my god, this is so hard. My heart rate was already, I don't know, 111,
Yeah.
nothing big. 111 compared to like 60
Mm-hmm.
is a big deal to do a breath hold. So it's like you have nothing at the end to even like feel like I could recover correctly because I was just like, oh my god, I'm just not
Yeah.
not pass out, but just kind of like, just like, wow, this is really hard to get the breath back. So that's kind of, huh?
Are you feeling like is it the strength of the diaphragm that's like are you getting contractions and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right away. Yeah, because the heart rate's already kind of medium.
Yeah.
Uh, but I was doing the sprints at home during the winter. That was much better
Mm.
because you just stop. You just stop pedaling. So anyway, so yeah, I just working like, okay, I'm gonna give myself 4 breaths, maybe 5 at the top of the hill through my mouth, in and out, and then go to nose in. What is it? Yeah, nose in, mouth out,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Longer
re-
exhales.
recover only with nasal
Yeah.
and air hunger, and then back to cadence. So kind of giving myself that chance versus just the power just goes if I do it any other way. It's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
that's not helping my circulation and my
Yeah.
into my lower. If there's no resistance, if I'm just pedaling with nothing, it kind of makes me choppier on my pedal stroke,
Mm.
you know?
So, have you tried the hypercapnic breath hold sprints? Like I know you just mentioned you were doing sprints over the summer. So you're used to doing the whole like pushing the air out fully and then inhaling and slowing that or not?
You mean on the pushing the air out on the exhale?
Yeah, so like you're supposed to for the hypercapnic stuff, the way you do it is you pinch and hold your nose and sprint for 40 yards or whatever, and then
Yeah.
as soon as you release, you try and push out all of the air, and you like
Oh,
your ribs to like you close your ribs even more to like push everything down so there's nothing left, and then you try and slow that inhale, and that's like one of the hardest things I've done, like in terms of
yeah.
diaphragm strength, and the diaphragm like skips like as you're trying to like slow it down, you're like,
Right. No, I
yeah.
haven't done it that way. I've just done it the standard way of just recover as soon as possible. But what's funny, um, I used to before I knew anything about oxygen advantage, I was just more like trying to diaphragmatically breathe whenever I could. And I got this thing going when I'd ride with the fast guys, like because they're so used to going fast all the time. There's when you ride with them, there's no like, oh, let's ride for a mile and then we'll hit it or anything like that. It's like, so I would start hyperventilating right away because they're going, 22 miles an hour right off the bat.
Yeah, wow.
There's no 15 or 17 for a little bit and then it hits. So I was playing around with right as soon as I could, about every fifth or sixth breath is just exhale everything while I was breathing. I just exhale everything and wait, and then more of a non-oxygen advantage, no nasal inhale, right? But it seemed to kind of almost, give a feeling of like, okay, I have this like, capacity now that I'm not going to die when I'm out of breath because I just made myself feel like I was out of breath before I could. So I kind of taught that to some people. I go, hey, look, if you want to get more air in, exhale a little bit longer, like 1 or 2 seconds longer. Now that did tighten the abs, so it's nothing along the lines of. But I was thinking about that yesterday, how I used to do that, and it would help me not panic when it's like on the rivet for like 5 or 6 minutes at a time, or trying to catch back onto the group, or just dangling off the back, and you're like, they're kind of sort of waiting for you at the top of the hills, but not really, and you're like, you catch on, and they're like, oh, gone again. So you're the whole day you're dangling.
Mm-hmm.
But that did help me back then. I didn't even know. I just
That's
knew about.
interesting. Yeah, you're just like experimenting with the breath.
Yeah, it did help. It did help. But yeah, definitely was, you know,
Oh,
I don't know any of the Tour de France coming up in July, or see any highlights or something like that. You'll see all the guys, all the pro guys, they got these huge lines from like the base of the outside of the nose down to there, those lines from
from
mouth because they're just
wow.
yeah. It's
Like
like you.
mouth breathing constantly.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you're cycling. I know they'll diaphragmatically breathe. A lot of those guys, they know how to expand their stomach, but they're going up these, monster hills and
Yeah.
breakneck. They're going 18 miles an hour up some of these hills, for 20 minutes at a time, and then it could be like four different coals in one day, and then the tour is 3 weeks long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, they dope. They have to. There's no there's no way, dude. You could even, and by the end of the 3 weeks, they just, they've lost like 5 or 6 pounds at least. They all
Yeah.
just super shreddy.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, check it out sometime, or just some old videos. You could just type in Tour de France, you'll see all the guys.
All mouth breathing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's
I'm interested in the
but
swimming aspect of mouth breathing, even though it's oxygen advantage. I'm kind of like trying to tie those two together with the cycling and make my own.
they talk about in an oxygen advantage to train out of the pool, like intentionally train breath holds out of the pool.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like how they mouth breathe in the water while they're using their diaphragm, right?
Yeah.
So a little bit more extended belly. Yeah, I want to learn more about that and tie that in with kind of the technique I'm learning and make something of my own that I can teach people, with some background of like, here's how it works.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if are you're not certified with oxygen advantage, are you?
No, no, that $400 first go round, I think we talked about before. I said that's a good way to go, just so you can
Yeah.
say you're certified.
Yeah. I think most of the information's online and they have like an app and also the book. You could buy the book and learn just as much. Uh,
I have the Yeah, I have the book.
yeah. Uh I was gonna mention something, I forget. Oh yeah, Brian talks about like EPO and how they were like doping in Tour de France. And that's what Lance Armstrong got caught for is
Yeah,
EPO. But you can make that
yeah,
yourself through exhaled breath holds.
yeah, from the bone marrow. The bone
Mhm.
marrow makes more. Yeah, yeah. I don't know how much. I mean, not as much as the pharmaceutical type, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're taking all sorts of blood out of their body and then putting it back in. You know, yeah.
That's cool though. Have you
Yeah.
how many years have you been doing the breath holding stuff? You're on like your third year or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. Since he started his first class 20, so I think it was April, right after the pandemic started, or at
Mhm.
least when we were out of work and all that stuff. So yeah, it was like April, first week of April, I think. Yeah,
I
it's
just hit
safe.
my first year like maybe 2 days ago.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, well, last month,
I started
April.
I started back in May of last year.
Yeah, cool, cool. Yeah.
It's
What
been
were you doing? What were you doing before that?
just Goda
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
like other life stuff. I was
Yeah.
working a corporate job before the pandemic. Like 6 months, 6 or 7 months before the pandemic, I was working a corporate job and I hated it and I quit. And then I was like, I think I was Ubering and working at a restaurant for 6 or so months, and then the world shut down, and I took it as an opportunity to explore a different venue of life and potentially work. So I
Mhm.
decided to get into. I was training with a buddy already, uh, by like all the Go stuff, and he was like, "You could easily do this. You could teach this now." I was like, "All right, might as well go for it," and did the whole certification. And then I saw Brian like a year and a couple months ago, and I was like, "Hmm, what's this about?" And yeah, it's crazy that it's been a year for me now, and it was only a 6 month program too, and so I'm finding ways to make it my own and work with clients and stuff.
Mhm.
It's been
Cool.
like one of the most rewarding things in my entire life.
The Goda and the oxygen put together.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful to watch you, man.
Hmm.
Sure, for sure. Definitely have
Oh, Lost you.
Hey,
Hey, I
man.
lost you.
Sorry, man. Yeah, I guess my phone was not charging. Let me double check here. Sure it's on. Okay, it's charging now. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. So like Aiden, who I don't know very well, he's doing a lot of the juice stuff. I don't know where he lives. He lives somewhere tropical, maybe Florida or something.
Bali.
Bali, yeah. Um,
Yeah, I've talked
who
with
else is
that iridologist kid. Or guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's pretty young. The basketball player. I really like that Mark, the guy who's like a doctor of some kind.
Hmm.
Comes on. He's really cool. I'm going to find his Instagram if he has one. He's got a lot of interesting points and good questions, and um, kind of challenges some of the ideas Brian has sometimes, and just like it's good. It's good. He's a good guy. We were talking about they were talking about fascia this last time. He found some the fascia garage or something like that, or the
Yep.
human garage. That's a
Yep.
human. Yeah. So it was cool to kind of find that through him.
It's
Who
funny you
else?
mention that. I've been like recording chapters on my course in general. And the last one I talked a lot about uh, the connection between like all different types of fascia in our body, because we have three different layers that go deeper and deeper into our system. We have the skeletal muscular fascia, and then the fascia that surrounds all of our organs, and then the deeper ones that surround all of our all the little glands and the DNA and the blood vessels and nerves and nodes, and like wraps around all that stuff, and it and how it carries electrical charges and is relatively it's relative to how light and frequency and vibration enter and exit our body, and how it's
Mhm.
connected to our thoughts. And there's been studies and information that's come out, even from Dr. Joe Dispenza, talking about the connection between the mental states and the physical states, and how fascia plays such a huge role in all of that, and how we can control basically our cellular like health based on our emotions and thoughts, and how we resonate and how we vibrate. And it's that stuff is so cool to me.
Yeah, yeah. I believe it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like where everything's going right now. People are just, it's way past any kind of like comments about bro science. It's like this is stuff that hasn't people haven't done really any studies on them as far as the strength and conditioning world. They haven't had to. They just had the full reign of everything for years now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I love it. I got a book on fascia. I got to dig it out, man. It was really good. It's really good.
Which
Um,
one, the anatomy trains one or something else?
no, something else. I'll find it and send you a cover of it. Um,
Cool.
I think I had a couple other books that were. One was about how to release fascia.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I got these years ago, and it was just kind of like, you know, didn't really know what to do with them necessarily. They were cool, and I kind of get a little tidbits on certain people's, injuries or whatever they're going through. Kind of like, huh, okay. So my own mind map, but never really got into the books all the way. But yeah, man, just vibration in general, man. You know, even when I see something about copper wire for gardening, you put it in your garden and have your plants grow and they grow bigger. I'm like, man, this whole ether thing, man, it's like, and like, trees, or stumps, all these huge stumps around the world they call mesas. It's like, I'm just like enthralled with all of this like vibrational stuff and what our true capacity really is, this.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the metals because that's all part of like this the scalar energy world.
Yeah.
They'll take those weird geometric structures and make resin type objects that have like certain gems in them that are wrapped in copper wire, and then
Yeah.
they emit certain frequencies through them, and it's supposed to attract and vibrate scalar energy, which is like the quantum field, and that's the
Yes.
0 point energy. That's the sort of, it clears subtle energy blockages and works through just frequencies and vibrations that could be negative and just sort of resets them. And if you're emanating at higher frequencies, that will be the baseline of that space. And so
Hmm.
you can carry and change the space around you just based on, because like sometimes there's negative energies that just get caught in certain areas, especially in spaces and houses and like in all these weird structures that we've created. So it's cool that you mentioned the copper and how that applies to plants even. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, everything grows bigger and faster and taller. Or how about those experiments with the mercury when they get the mercury spinning and then it creates like a magnetic, you know, a couple magnets, and then you get that's how things like levitate because it's constantly spinning. They're thinking mercury and some other stuff might have been in those little spears with the antennas at the top of all those buildings.
Hmm.
And they're thinking like that kind of thing, uh, maybe with other metals or crystals or whatever were in there with that. But mercury's a big one. You know, I've always told it's been super toxic.
Yeah,
But
I haven't heard about this. This is interesting.
yeah, it's like a guy puts a like in a metal dish and it has magnets on the bottom and then it spins and then the as it gets going the mercury kind of goes centrifugal force out to the outside
Hmm.
and that's when the use of the magnets becomes active and then that's when it gets that levitation that you know is just kind of like when you put two magnets opposite each other you get that
Hmm.
pressure. Yeah. um just seeing stuff like that I'm like shit man I would have been like a 4.0 student if it had been like
Cool, that cool stuff.
any of the history you know way back like just so it was so interesting to me and it's like almost all I can really think of about let's see, Goda, breathing, dogs, bikes, uh, eating well as I can, and uh, the whole tree thing, you know, all these stumps, um, and then just the history, like these huge, you know, those bigger humans,
Oh
um,
yeah, I've heard about that.
you know, like the breatharian thing, like wow, man, yeah,
The giants, I've heard about that. I've heard about that theory that there's like
yeah,
there used to be way more of them, and there's like still remnants of that, or like I I wouldn't say nowadays. I say there's very few on the planet left.
right,
Like even when I was a kid, it was like Andre the Giant. Like he was a
yeah,
giant.
yeah.
Absolutely, he might have been actually one of the smaller ones.
Yeah, you go to the ye old curiosity shop, and they always had cool stuff there and old photos of things, and you'd see the big dude, you know, standing next to the car, and he's like 6 feet taller in the car or whatever. You know, just when you're a kid, you know, at least back in my day, you'd see stuff like this, like old stuff. You're like, this is so cool. How about those desks? Those desks that have all the architecture and the different like secret doors and keys and like dude, I mean, woodworking, like, where's it gone? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore.
I'm just enthralled with all of it. I don't want to do anything else except, you know, the stuff I need to do. I'm like, I just can't even almost keep up with all the cool stuff that I'm seeing. And like, okay, well, there's another thing I want to learn about.
I was listening to a podcast a while ago. I think I might have mentioned this to a couple other people in the group, but There were two guys that came on Rogan's podcast, and they were also talking about like old technologies in ancient civilizations, and they were
Mhm.
talking about how they had these machines that could cut stone at such a precise, like I don't even know how to describe it, but it
Oh
was
yeah,
impossible for us to replicate that technology nowadays and
exactly.
make something so precise. I think they were talking about a vase or something.
Yep. They're huge. They weigh a lot. They're huge. They're the circumference, how smooth they are.
The
And it's
exact
like, oh, this was
etching of
18,
it. Yeah.
yeah, this is 1850. It was done by all hand. Like, no, it
No.
was not. There's no way. This thing weighed 600 tons. And
Yeah.
you're telling me it was, yeah, uh-uh. Yeah.
That coincides with all the cataclysmic events happening, the whole what's it called? Atlantis, and how 5,500 years ago, or 11,000 whatever years ago, that cataclysmic event happened and wiped out certain civilizations, but there's remnants
Mhm.
of it, and there's no denying that that existed. And there's so much of it that gets lost in translation nowadays between the people who have found the technology or found remnants of
Yeah.
the technology and tried to
Mhm.
explain it, or have just left it as unexplainable instead of keeping the question open ended.
Yeah.
I think we're at like a point. I think we're at a point where some of that stuff is going to become just more mainstream. Um, People are going
Yeah.
to start asking questions about all of it and recognize that there's a bigger story to be told.
Yeah. We just we're not, I know that the younger generation is just not going to take the information given and going, okay, so Devil's Tower is a something from the floods that or some kind of erosion or whatever they say about. It's like no, that was a tree. There's hexagonal silicone, just like a tree that comes down. They comes doesn't come down like that. It comes down just like roots does, you know. And they're all pretty much perfect. We've just said, oh, okay, I'm too busy trying to raise my family or make a living or do whatever, being a human doing versus a human being, that we just like took everybody's word for it, just like, space and NASA and yeah. And just like where everybody seems to be okay with for years, at least my whole life until now, okay with the Antarctic Treaty. It's like, well, that's not interesting. That no, just it's so boring and no one wants to even talk about that. Well, we've only been given so much information, and then on to the next. They've
Mm.
been saying we're gonna go underwater every year since 1996. Like,
Yeah,
by 2012, London will be underwater. Like, okay, no,
still
they're
not
still saying,
underwater.
yeah. So yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, that it's kind of over for that. Um, I guess they show us all the time in movies and stuff, and that's where they get a lot of their ideas, like Avatar.
Hmm.
I mean, crystalline. Can you imagine eating crystalline fruit that came from the roots of these things? I think how good a freaking illuminated orange or whatever it is that you're eating would taste, man, and how much.
What it would do to your system, what it do to your brain, to your what, to
Yeah, they'd be like, here, take 5 of these. Your fascia will be healed after you fell off the tree. You just eat these for a few days. You'll be good to go. Just rub the skin into your skin. Here, drink this, or just go soak in this for a while, or just gaze into this with your eyes for a while.
I think that's going to be closer to the future before we get into being a breatharian. I think
Mm-hmm.
Brian has been creating like has been creating a system to get there, but I don't think we as human beings have evolved yet, DNA wise, and we get like we evolve as the Earth evolves, and as the sun and the solar flares hit us, we I don't know if you've been feeling this, but I know a lot of
Yeah,
other people have. Things
big
are
time.
speeding up at a certain rate. It's like almost in combination with how AI has been speeding up and technology has been speeding up, so have we. So like the things that we're manifesting, or the vibrations that we have in general, the things we're able to accomplish in this lifetime is seems faster. Seems like timelines are shifting faster. Um, the
Mm.
frequency of the earth, the frequency of it all. I was talking with somebody today kind of about all this stuff, and it just makes sense that we connect with the earth just more now than ever, and that we explore those things like you mentioned, like with this tree. Let's figure out how to restore this tree and see what fruit it bears and connect with that, and see how deep our connection can go with the earth and with the ground and with the soil. I think that'll happen before we become able to reach this level of breatharian, or past that, because I don't think, I mean, this is just based on my own personal experience. When I tried uh
Mhm.
to like kind of get there, and this body isn't there yet. Maybe in a couple generations,
Right. I see.
you know what I mean? uh
Mm.
it's just not, I don't think a lot of people are capable of it because of certain ancestral
Yes.
traumas that have been stored that need to be released over longer periods of time, and to
Mhm.
force it to create the detoxing, to force the detoxing doesn't, it's that whole conversation of power versus force, and the cultivation of CO2 over longer periods of time that really shape an individual
Mhm.
and the collective at that same time. I think,
Mhm.
like, I love what Brian does every day. He's an inspiration, and,
Yeah.
and he's definitely, but he's a very unique human being, and his body style allows him to do this, and I think he's very rare. Um, there are other people on the planet that can definitely follow him. They have the genetic makeup too, um,
Mhm.
and the lessons that he teaches in terms of breathing, in terms of the Bolt score, in terms of how to detox and how to get there, are no doubt right. You know, like he's been working with those healers and those other people who have, their third eyes are open. They can see certain things about the human body, about emotions, and how they're connected to the body, about traumas and everything, and how to balance all the organs and the soul, all the fascia. And that's something I align with entirely. I also think that everybody has, their own path towards health and towards life, and just their specific journeys aren't gonna be that fast on that timeline I mentioned, you know.
Mm. Yeah. Some people can move faster just from their makeup and, of course, their regimen. And that
Mhm.
he's been what he started being 5, 6 years now since
Yeah.
he's been the breathing, maybe a little longer. But he was raw vegan for a while, and then now he's a vegetarian, vegan, and then now fruit based.
um
But years,
what's his
years.
name, Sarthak, something like that.
Yeah, he's cool too, man. Yeah, I really like when he talks. Yeah, because
Yeah,
he's
he posted a video in the Telegram chat a while ago about this guy, and I ended up buying his book. Like, even before I saw that video. Uh, his name's, I definitely can't pronounce this correctly. Um, but it was this guy.
Okay.
And he was talking about how the origins of the different races and where they came from.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
And he was specifically talking about black people versus white people, not verse, but like comparing those two
Yep.
um, intentionally, and how uh, white people in general kind of migrated down after the ice age happened, and they were living primarily in a shadow world, uh, because
Mm-hmm.
they had to essentially resort to uh, meat eating and cannibalism. And so there's that genetic trait that's been carried through a lot of us. And that's what he said. Like, I'm not saying any of this is right or anything. I'm just reflecting on what he said.
Right. Yeah. I've heard of this type of talk where indigenous people weren't just Indian, it's black people, the Moors. Um, they're they're everything's been stolen from them, and we came about. You know, like the Planet of the Apes thing is opposite of what they were showing us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the tight lips of the chimpanzees. They're like that's more like us, not black people.
Yeah. And so we talk about how there's specific genetic makeups within different races that allow people to eat different foods and vibrate and have different frequencies. But I remember listening to somebody who had also read this book, and I'm taking my time to go through it because it's very informational, and they have like so much in terms of just herbs, and it's more like just kind of a resource to look up certain ailments and certain protocols. Um, but I guess at some point he talks about how all six races come together in order to evolve, because eventually, through our genetic makeup, we're gonna, like, race isn't gonna exist, kind of at some point, um, or things will get crossed over in a lot of ways, uh, and then we'll be able to kind of heal a lot of that trauma together, um, and do a lot of that shadow work together, to raise the vibration of the entire collective of the humans in general, which I thought was very cool. Like, I
Yeah.
align with that. I'm still not sure if I believe 100% in the theories behind all of that and the stories of it, but I resonate with certain aspects of it. Um, I think
Yeah.
it makes sense, in terms of how, certain people need certain diets to function and to heal and to live. And not all of us are meant to live at certain frequencies or understand certain things about the earth. And that's okay. We just play our parts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a few people I've been following for a few years now, and they're talking about the radiation is definitely with the sun is definitely different. I remember a couple years ago people were like, God, the sun just seems so like hot, like hot to the skin. People were just talking like, yeah, I guess maybe because I'm getting older or something. Just like no one knew. But yeah, I mean, it's better now. But like when we were going through that last phase, but like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was the sun was just kind of draining me. I mean, I could be out in it. I like being out in it, but I definitely like feel the effects of it. I had to come inside or just be like low energy on a bike ride. Just like, okay, well, that's what it is. I'm just gonna go with this and do my best to benefit from taking it easier on my body. On these bike rides and stuff, and just whatever, just ride.
Question:
Uh,
do you wear sunglasses when you bike? For like,
for eye protection, yeah, just overall like things you get bees flying in your face
are
sometimes. And
they tinted or clear?
they're tinted, yeah, they're definitely. But I used to wear sunglasses all the time, like just out with my baseball. Now I just wear my baseball hat outside.
Hmm.
But riding definitely, yeah, it keeps the wind out. That can be a pain sometimes when it's windy. Have a nice block because your eyes get watery. It's hard to see sometimes.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
I've had bees fly into my sunglasses before. You're going 20, they're going whoever, how fast. It hits. It kind of like
Yeah, they
you're
smack you
like,
right in the face.
yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, it definitely can hurt. I feel them bounce off my shoulders sometimes. There's a little punch to it. So
Hmm.
yeah, so
The reason
riding
why,
I do.
yeah, the reason why I ask is because I've been seeing some stuff about how when you wear sunglasses, it tricks
Yep,
your skin into basically thinking that it's, yeah,
yep,
it's
yep,
not in the sun, and then you get more burned because of that. There's like a
yeah,
reaction that your cells have. Um,
yeah. It's I'd be more apt to like start wearing them at night, walking the dog with all the LED lights here in Seattle and the car lights and the everybody has these cool, lights on their porches that are LED. Everything's LED, and it's like that's an oxygen uh depriver because it sucks the oxygen. When you tie it in with the millimeter wave technology that, who knows when they're going to turn it up higher, but
I was driving
frequency,
home a
talking
couple.
frequency.
Yeah. I was driving home a couple months ago, and they replaced a couple of the lights on the highway with these crazy blue ones. And I remember I was driving home and I was kind of tired, and then as soon as I passed it, I was like way more energy like lit up, and I was like, that was weird.
Yeah,
That
it's
wasn't
more fight or flight. It's just like another way of inducing fear, but it's not through words or media. It's like through your overall nervous system. It's getting heightened. Like something's up.
yeah.
Um, and it's gonna rob your body of different molecules, and maybe who knows? I mean, maybe it could even like start tightening up your fascia just from this type of thing. Who knows?
So I'm curious
But
what you mentioned how the sun is getting stronger. I'm just kind of curious how your thoughts on like what you see going forward with that, or like what if you see it as a good thing or a bad thing.
um, well, it's a good thing in the sense that it's transforming people for like what you were saying with the capacity that they have. Again,
Mhm.
like you're saying, Brian's probably farther along in that realm than say me or you or whatever. But it's going to be a while before because the planets are already here. That's why we're seeing two suns and you know even the shape of the clouds. I don't know if you follow Simple Minutes on Instagram. She
Oh,
does a bunch of really cool like time lapse of the sky,
okay.
and it's they talk about covering these planets with the clouds and all this. That's part of the geoengineering. But she taught me how to look at it in a way of not necessarily covering it like this, like it's blocking this planet.
Mm-hmm.
The planet, the planets are so big, and there's a bunch of them that are kind of overlapping at different depths. That a lot of times it's clear in the center, and it's the cloud cover that's up this way, and a lot of times it's in this arc. So essentially, that is the planet, but it's what's showing around it. So it's almost like looking at it flip side versus like, oh, it's covering up this. It's like, no, it's covering up this stuff.
Yeah.
This is this is just the part where they're allowing you to see through or whatever.
What was the name of the Instagram?
Simple Minutes, yeah, go in there. It might be simple underscore, but it's a really nice lady. She lives in Washington State, and she's always posting like different spots in her stories of where cloud formations and whatnot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Got you.
yeah, super cool. So with that, and then Isis Wisdom, I am the realest to ever do it. I've been following her, and it's the radiation is coming in. It's been coming in ever since 1G, right? Which was what, telegraph or something like that, and then
Hmm.
then radio. There's always these, you know, as our body adapts over time, decades adapts over, say, 10 years. So every 10 years there's a new adaptation, right? Um, but by the time that transformation happens, it's going to be so fucking hot, it's just going to burn up shit. It's going to be like 1,000 degrees. So is that going to happen now? No. Is it going to happen soon? No. But it's going to keep increasing its vibration and intensity. So that's why things are shifting. In the end, I could make it across that. I might already be passed away, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But like you're saying, future generations, the more we vibrate, the more we become as one. Maybe that can help some people pass through with their um, what's the skin, not skin tone, but the
Like the
pigment, the
holographic.
pig, this how the skin changes and can handle, right? So like indigenous people, they have that already built in. That's why everything's been stolen from them, because they were like kings and queens and gods, and again, kind of makes me interested about what's beyond Antarctic Circle Treaty. It's like there's other lands, man. There's got to be. Why else are you hiding it? Why else do you show it in movies? Why do you, you know? But
Yeah.
everybody's too busy. Everybody's too busy to look into it because that would be too real. So my generations for 55 years on this planet, why has been the best question I've ever came up with that's never been answered. Why? Yeah, shut up. Shut up. I don't know. Or stop asking questions. Like, I just want to know. It's really interesting. Like, it's more fun to talk about that type of stuff than it is anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, so by the time it all happens, yeah, someone like Brian just passes right through, or Brian's offspring or whatever, pass right through without any complication. And other people might be able to make it through, whereas other people just burn up.
Mm.
So that's the reality of it for most Caucasian people is, they're just going to incinerate, whereas, you know, other people are going to elevate and be like gain powers from it. So that's what I mean. Like when it was really draining of power with the sun a few weeks ago, it was just kind of like, well, this is an adaptation of like, you know, kind of like what I don't have, or it's teaching me something, or just maybe I can pass through because I have certain qualities. Maybe I don't have necessarily the pigment in my skin or whatever, but maybe part of my energetic soul can pass through and be part of that collective. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
yeah, we're more than just what we live on this earth. I think, once we're gone, we're still something.
Yeah.
There's still something there. So maybe that's really what it comes down to, is just this reality gets disintegrated before it actually burns up. And then that's where you and I and Brian and all of us end up, is like, wow, that's the parallel earth. It's, as it splits, it's like we just don't really see that this reality that we're in now. We just see other colors. And so that's a driving force in the transport technology and the infinite routes. It's like I believe that I will see all these colors and ride these routes, and like, the terrain will feel a different way under my tires or under my feet. It's like I just believe that. It's like there's no way I'm not gonna see that, even if I'm not actually in this suit. I'm gonna see that.
Yeah. So
You know?
the infinite routes is relative to your, like, all of our timelines leading through basically this path, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
path, do you see it as I don't know if I asked you this before, but do you see it as part of the Torus, and how it is the beginning and the end of
Yeah.
the universe and the cosmos and all of it, and how the lines will just keep going for infinity?
Yeah, yeah, and they're related to inside me, and I make up where I want to go. Wherever I want to go, I go. Or wherever I see, I can just portal through there.
Or whoever you can, whoever you want to be.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, just like poof. Okay, now I'm on a dirt or some kind of thing where I need knobby tires and the sensations. Maybe I'm on some kind of like maybe I'm on nothing, but my sensations are telling me I'm riding trails, because it's bumpier or something. But
Mhm.
I have all the gear I need, just kind of like in the makers, like, hey, tell me how to be a pro downhiller. I need these aspects right now. Download. Okay, I can ride this. Just ride. And then where do I go? Like, well, I just ride that illuminated pinkish turquoisey trail. I don't have to even worry. I just ride and just, you know, oh,
So
50 foot jump, 50-foot cliff. Okay, just float down there, whatever.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
So what's his name? AJ was telling me about Robert Monroe. Do
What
you
is
know?
it?
Do you know who Robert Monroe is?
I've heard that name. I don't know what that
So
is.
he's got a book called The Ultimate Journey, and he talks about kind of the future, and he did a lot of like astral plane work,
Mm,
like getting outside of his body and visiting different universes and structures and stuff. And I think he theorized that the evolution of humans and where we go in terms of our consciousness is that as soon as it reaches a point of where our bodies are more holographic in
there you
enter
go.
enter and exit different life forms and share consciousness with those life forms. And
Right, right,
so that life form could literally be a cloud. It could be a
right.
blade of grass. It could be a little speck of dust that's just
Yeah.
pollen or something, you know?
Yeah. I mean, a leaf has millions of routes on it, just one leaf.
Yeah. So that's like that's
Mhm.
your that combines with your kind of idea around the infinite routes, right?
Yeah, it's very relaxing to me. It it kind of keeps me in the mode of like wanting to go ride again and do whatever it takes so I can physically, like in this realm, ride my bike forever. Like, on the ego side, like, yeah, I'm gonna be that guy at 80 that's like everyone's going, how the fuck is this 80-year-old doing this? How is he still riding with the first and second group?
Mm-hmm.
or or just doing these amazing things that I take pictures of and travel and and just healthy, like a Brian, like inspired by like Brian and Joy and you and AJ or is it AJ, the who's the Aiden, just people that who are like there, like in their mind, like this is why I'm doing this. I mean, I enjoy it. It makes me feel good, when I create this art, and then I get pictures of them, and I'm like, put a couple of filters on it, like, holy shit, dude. I just made that. I didn't even really try. That's the crazy thing about it, dude. Yeah, I want to ride forever. I want to ride at the feeling of a high level.
Yeah.
I mean, going 22 miles an hour or 17 miles an hour feels the same when you're pushing yourself. So the same sensations versus just kind of slogging. You might see people out there running where they're barely running, but I'm still going to jog. I jog 6 miles a week. It's like they're just kind of like pummeling along. It's a different mindset. It's like, I'm just looking for that zone, and I'm still a pretty strong rider. And I'm curious to how long I can keep that up, especially with GOTA, unfucking myself after I get off the bike, and um, uh, and then also the breathing, and then just trying to try different things with the diet and mindset, and it's all changing for me because the art is driving me to keep going. I've been a trainer for so long, I'm just really trying to simplify everything. So it's like breathing, inside bone high, pivot point, bow corner, fuck everything else. Like yeah, just tie that into everything I do. Like I might keep it real simple right now. you know, Fascia, that's a good thing because I'm already kind of trying to work with that, getting away with anatomy and just 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 being.
Have you? I know we've mentioned it a bunch in the chat. Have you looked in the gene keys at all?
I haven't, man. I'm so interested in it though. That's another thing. The chakras are a big thing. That's kind of where it started for me with that, but and the sounds and the vibrations with the tuning forks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, totally interested in that. You got stuff going with that in your program, right?
So I just started. So it's more just in the chat right now in terms of resources. But I have recorded 2 videos now. The latest one, my chapter 4, I talked a little bit about fascia and the connection on the cellular level and how it actually connects to um, breathing and how the release of certain tissues connects through breathing and connects through nitric oxide and actually connects through a certain amino acid. And
Wow.
there's amino acids that are basically um, so it's sort of hard to say exactly this stuff because it's very the connections between them aren't exactly linear of how it
Right.
works, but basically the each genetic strand of DNA expresses through codons, and those codons make up the essential amino acids that basically have certain frequencies attached to them. And those frequencies vibrate at lower, kind of medium, and higher. And that's how it connects to the gene keys. And that's
Mhm.
and if we just read and interpret and sit with and meditate with and embody, we can actually shift the frequency of those gene keys into a higher frequency in order to actually let that amino acid
Mm.
become and not become, but more express itself
Oh,
fully.
like more peripheralization and like spread through the tissues that need it.
Exactly. So, like, when it comes to our genetic makeup and our genetic code, we gene expression is a huge thing. It's a huge topic to consider because we all have these diseases or even just aspects of ourselves that uh, change based on our environments, based on our mindsets, based on our diets and lifestyle, and all of these things. And we have the power to actually like change that in our own minds by interpreting and knowing what the frequencies are about and how they're connected to these amino acids and how these amino acids kind of shape humanity and more than humanity, what kind of goes further and it lets us actually evolve. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but that's what
Okay.
I've been looking into in terms of the gene keys and how they play an effect on our bodies and how it really does come down to some of these simple things that we talk about on a on a daily basis like lifestyle and food and breath work and or no I know Brian doesn't like the word breath work but I still use it breath work.
Yeah. Breath training, right? Is what he
Yeah,
says,
breath
right?
training. um, and all of these things have allow us to express these genetic uh, amino acids, basically these things that are connected to these amino acids that allow the production of things like hormones and um, are connected to chakras, are connected to our solar plexus, or are connected to our root chakras, or whatever they are. And as we evolve, more of these codons and more of these rings and more of these amino acids are actually going to start to produce, and we're even going to evolve past a lot of that. uh, and it like I mentioned the 3 different frequencies within each code, and that's the shadow, the gift, and the city. and it shows
Oh,
shadow aspects of ourselves, how to transmute those shadow aspects through the gifts, and then how to even transcend into higher frequencies with the city. It's like going from seed to plant to flower. Like let's evolve here. Let's show, because the flower doesn't know anything about how the seed goes to the plant. It doesn't even care. It's a flower, you know.
yeah,
um,
right.
and that's just something I've been exploring with these connections with fascia, with these connections through emotions, because it's all, I think, like I was saying this like almost 6 months ago, I think, or even further, like maybe 2 years ago. I was saying fascia is everything.
Yeah.
Really think it is. I think it's like this fascial matrix. There's a reason why I chose the word matrix in terms of New Earth, this group that I've
Yeah.
created. It's the fascial matrix that we need to navigate and we need to explore. Um, Not need to, but like want to. Um, it's sort of an innate um, desire or drive or something.
Yeah, man. Um,
So you should get into it.
I am into it. That is cool as hell, man. Yeah. Yeah. Is this related to the Robert Monroe?
No, there's so the history of it. This guy named Raw basically got downloads uh, back in the late '90s, I think, and he wrote all of this down in a system and created a whole system out of it. And then there's another guy named Richard Rudd. So that previous system from Raw is called Human Design. And then this other guy studied under Raw and got similar downloads and more downloads about kind of the keys in general and created his own system. So it's two separate systems that work, and there's so much information. So much information. I'm
Yeah.
still combing through a lot of it, but it's understanding us at a genetic level and how to navigate through that and how to um, essentially evolve or just like utilize all these tools that are beneficial to us that allow us to raise our frequency and vibration.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm very interested in that because it's kind of along the lines of, and this is like opposite of that, but in the same way that your body is going to be able to access certain things. So a while back, I looked into getting my fillings out, and the naturopath wanted me to get a test that would tell me like how well I would recover, like if I needed to like get certain supplementation prior to it so I wouldn't be wrecked from the
Yeah.
release of not having those metals in there, like how much was my body creating candida to protect from the metals, right?
Wow, that's
um
smart.
uh yeah. So I took the test. The stuff that kind of helped leach a little bit of it out into my system so they could test it. Um Kind of made like I got zits on my quads and like just kind of like overall kind of like broke out a little bit just from the pills that they gave me for the week that I was like giving you my stool sample and my some urine.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but when the results came back, it showed like, well, you're good here. Your levels are okay here of lead and mercury's okay. And there's one called moldibum. Um, I can't remember how to say it or spell it right now, but anyways, one of them was somewhat in the higher category. But what she told me at the time, this is 2011, she said, um, you got this from your mom. You carried this over from your mom, but the same way it protects you. And she said that's why, because you sweat a lot with your cycling and all your activities, that's what keeps you in balance from it. That's the barrier that helps you not have it be toxic to you, even though you're at like a medium level. of this, metal in your
Wow.
body. I
Wow.
know. No. So it's like, so in that realm, it's like, okay, well, your body's doing something to block it, right? So that could come down to fascia, blood flow, you know, the way the body compacts so it keeps oxygen away from there so it doesn't get released, all the stuff that we've been talking about now. It go the other way too. Why not? Why not? If you can access certain things, just like being able to access certain tissues so you have more bounce to your step, being able to not only just do Gota, but get oxygen to those tissues, train a certain way, be more elastic, let's say. So what's out of the three that you mentioned earlier? There's the fascia from the organs that
Hmm.
around the organs, the fascia in the muscle tissue, and then the skeletal, right? Those three.
So there's musculoskeletal, there's organs, and then there's deeper layers that are connected to glands and hormones and all of
There
the
you go.
all of the
Yeah.
sort of blood vessels, nodes, and nerves.
Right. So when coming in from my mom, I got some of the stuff from her. She's Wisconsin, so I've always been fine with dairy products. So, I mean, so yeah, with all that, if it goes one way of protecting your body, then it has to go the other way, in my opinion, my humble opinion. I mean, at least it's an interesting dynamic and interesting enough to be motivated to look up stuff and learn and just piece together things that make sense. It has to go the other way, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Swings both. If it can protect you, then it can enhance you.
yeah,
If you're free of what it was trying to protect you from, right? We're the best supercomputer in the world, in the universe, probably. From what I've, all these evil forces, they can't touch us. If we let them come in, then we can be controlled without knowing we be controlled. But for the
yeah.
most part, all I have to say is like, no, I am, and my cloak shields up. You can
Hmm.
just say that.
Yeah, it's
Shields down.
almost like the what is it, like vampires need to be invited to enter the door.
Exactly. It's all that. Yeah, let's start revisiting some of those old black and white movies I used to watch when I'd be at my grandma's. There'd be the Shirley Temple on Saturdays, those movies with the tap dancing. There'd be Star Trek later in the day. Uh, but I remember these like vampire movies like were on like midday, black and white, and it was always this like really good looking dude, and there's always one, maybe two people that are like, everyone's like, "You're crazy. He's the nicest guy."
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, "No, no, no, you don't understand." Like it's so trippy, man. You
Yeah,
know,
it was
the
a
Matrix.
metaphor for shadows and
Yeah.
the shadows inside of us. They needed to be invited inside or let inside. That's funny.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. Cloaked. You can cloak yourself.
Hmm.
And all that really means is being vigilant about what you see. You see a group of people walking on the street a couple blocks away, and it's like, I'm just gonna kind of go up here and then take a right and go through this alley. I'm just gonna kind of keep my buffer zone. It's like just being aware,
Hmm.
uh, or just simply it's like kind of maybe you've had this where you realize someone in your life, you're just kind of like, oh, I can't be around this person anymore. I mean, I'll text them and this and that or whatever, but I can't hang out with that person anymore. It's just too much. It's too big of a swing. And I know that when I get a lot of energy and I'm like, hey, what's up? And like talk about old stuff or do something, and then it's like after the phone call or maybe that time that we spent riding bikes together, I'm like, I really feel the effects of it. I'm like, I realize like I can't, I gotta keep that shield up a little bit, you
Yeah.
know. Not like I'm never gonna ever talk to him again, but at the same time, it's like just limit that amount of exposure.
I
You
was
know.
talking about this exact same thing with somebody last night and how we have to be a mirror and we can't absorb that energy.
Mhm.
That's exactly it. And
Yeah.
in order to protect ourselves, but also just there's dark shit out there. We, yeah, like you said, just got to be aware. We gotta be
Yeah.
aware and not let it, not embody those shadow aspects, um, or let them define us, because the egos can be too
Yeah.
fragile.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's helpful. They're helpful because they've helped me realize who I once was,
Yeah,
because I didn't notice those things before. I only noticed my own triggers, but maybe I blamed something on them about it, even though it was my issue that I was noticing out of me. But now that I don't have that anymore, it's like I can't be around.
I was there's a specific gene key that talks about this. It's like gene key 36, and I read it today.
Uh-huh.
It talks about the dark night of the soul, and how, and Brian's even mentioned this before too, in maybe one or two of his calls, about how he had his dark night of the soul. And a lot of people have their dark nights of the soul where they go too far into their shadows, or they just hit a point where there's no path forward because it's become too destructive on their physical bodies.
You mean
And
like you mean like they're kind of like already reached the limit of what they needed to learn there and don't need to go any deeper because it's kind of obvious.
yeah, it forces you to make a change. It's
Mm.
like you become sick, and you become unable to move forward in the environment that's created the sickness. And the environment can be the people, it can be your
Uh-huh.
surroundings, it can be the energy, it can be a job, it can be even a whole family or a society or whatever it is, and something pushes you to move out of that. And it's just necessary. It's part of the evolution of every individual,
Hmm.
and then it turns into like a whole collective thing. But every, like, I've had my dark night of the soul. I know, I understand um, what that entails, and how I'm actually grateful for it, um, and grateful that I had it, because it's shaped who I am today, and my mission, and my my ego in a sense, but also just everything about me is because of that. And it's gone on to a higher frequency, and I don't look back on it with any negativity anymore. It was essential almost in my journey. um
Yeah,
you know.
that's beautiful. Yeah, true. So true. Yeah, you know what? That is me. And I'm still the same person that likes to giggle at the comics, or
Yeah,
does this, or likes to doodle when I'm on the phone. It's like it doesn't change how much I like myself, but it's something who I am, and it hasn't stopped me to this point, even though it's been there all along. Even when I didn't notice it, I just knew that there were certain things that made me upset, even though I didn't know what they were. Now that I know what they were, I'm still me,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But dark, it can be dark though.
Yeah, I don't allow those darker things to even be around me anymore. I understand what had made me sick in the first place,
Mm.
and I can see it now from a mile away, you know.
Wow.
um it's like almost giving me vision, like laser night laser vision or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's a superpower.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
superpower because then when you see it in other people that you don't even know, or situations that you haven't been in before, it's so apparent to you, and you see it again like from a mile away. You're like, okay, that's what this is. Versus, why did that person even like talk to me like that, or why did they even do me wrong like that? Like they didn't. You stopped it before they even got there, or you just understand it right away. You're like, oh, okay, fine.
yeah, 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 exactly. And you don't even have to be near it. You can avoid it completely, or you can choose to engage in it and potentially guide it in some way while still carrying that mirror next to you.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yep. I've found most of the time when I notice something that's like isn't right for me, most of the time when I don't do anything, and I do my work, but I don't engage in any way,
Hmm.
it all shakes out without me having to do literally anything, you know? I just kind of follow what my gut says. If I need to talk to somebody and my gut said, "Hey, talk to this person about this thing that you're going through so you can get some insight so you can look at that other thing," then yeah. But even that works out too, because I end up getting more than even in my wildest dreams would have expected from the person that I was, confiding in or asking for help in that, It's so wild. Like just the I don't want to say it's easy, but because it's not, but at the same time it's almost like again, it ties in a lot with the breath work when you're just sitting there after a breath training session, and you're like, everything seems so simple and clear about what you need to do or want to do, or just your feelings around something, and then you let those pass, and then now it's bedtime, and then you wake up and it's the next day and you're like, huh, that's kind of over. It's kind of I'm already, I don't really, I feel done with that. There's the societal thing where you'll still have to deal with it, but I don't have to do anything. I don't have to send this email. I don't have to respond to this text. I don't have to I'm just me. I mean, I don't have to have any excuses for why I did or didn't do something at all, because without getting specific about
Yeah.
something, it's just kind of like, it just seems like in general, kind of like when I was talking about the bike ride, like, God, I was just freaking drained from this, like, radiation and the sun intensity and all the density here in Seattle. I'm like, you know what? I don't. All I have to do is be on my bike today. I don't care what it is that I'm doing. It hits me. Like, I don't have to do anything except just maybe just sit here for a little bit and then ride my bike a little more. And maybe I don't go on that 20 mile. I just go over to the beach for a little bit, and I go over here, get a snack. It's
Yeah.
like I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything my ego said I had to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I was I asked do you know Raymond? Do you follow him? He's just been one of the guys in the biomechanical world, just a friend, and he's
Oh,
been on a couple of these calls he's in the chat. He
I will though. I'll check him out. What's the on the Insta?
Raymond, it's Ray Falcone 8. But I was working with him with some breathwork and stuff over the past few months, and I asked him to keep a journal because he's been experimenting with cannabinoids and psychedelics in terms of the breath, and he has been writing down a lot of his thoughts. And he shared, I was reading this like the other day, I think earlier today or maybe yesterday, but he quoted somebody and it said, in the realm of non-action anything can be accomplished, and I just thought that was perfect. I was like, yes. And
Yeah.
it's funny how like these synchronicities kind of line up and all these messages come across in the same few days or whatever it is. And I was listening to uh, New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and he was talking about the
Yeah.
breath and how it really just, all you need to do is focus on the breath, and a few intentional breaths make you stop thinking and just put
Yep.
you in the moment. And then somebody else also mentioned slowing down to speed up and
Yep.
do all these things, and just to be intentional with being in the moment and being in the breath, and then allow yourself to just unfold in any way that the universe wants it to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And then watch that and
Yeah.
see, and then observe that, and then take your next step or not. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Subtle intentions are the most powerful. Just your intention of uh you want your friend to get this job and they asked you for the dude's phone number that you told them about a couple months ago, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna send them that, and then I'm gonna send them this video. And no, I just really want him to have that job. That's all it means. I mean, he'd be
Yeah.
grateful whether he believes that or not.
Yeah.
So yeah. uh
This is why I love the breath holds
yep.
and the intention that you can put behind a breath hold can be just to feel it and just to have no intention for it and just to sense and just be in stillness. And when I do that, my breath holds are so much more than anything that I could put in my mind of what they could be or what they should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a soft gaze, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
uh
yeah, it's with that softness of the mind that helps the softness of the diaphragm and the solar plexus and everything to just relax and fall. And then the CO2 and all of that stuff just works on its own and it just does it. And you don't really have to do anything. You just have to observe. You don't even have to observe. You can just, you can choose to not.
yeah.
Sometimes I let
Uh,
my mind just wander during my breath holds and things bring you back, but it's another intention or non-intention. Uh, to just
yeah.
become formless.
You have the paid Zoom version, right?
Hmm.
Um, is there a way to put a clock, like a
Yeah.
stopwatch, like in the corner?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I can do it right
Uh,
now. It's like a little app, I think. Hold on.
So, like for a breath class, then instructing it, you wouldn't have to do the counting for everybody. People would just watch the screen.
Yeah, so on my platform, in like on Telegram, I've linked a couple times in some of the pinned messages. My platform's accessible. Like you can just go on and there's some free classes on there.
Hmm.
And I've utilized that. Um, and also like I'm counting out as at the same time, just in case you want to even cut off an additional layer of stimulation, and not look at a clock, but the clock is there as well. So it's like because a lot of people like to close their eyes and be internal, which I honestly love. I recommend. Uh, Hold on, but like you
Yeah,
can,
I like closing eyes. Yeah,
yeah, I can.
because then you can just open your eyes and check the clock every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah. There's a whole clock, and then there's a timer, a simple timer. I'll see if I can throw.
Nice, man. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. Yeah. But also, while you're just checking that, the 7 Habits of Successful People, or whatever that book is, I think it's Covey.
Okay.
Something. He in his book he talks about trim tabs. Trim. There it is. Sweet.
Yeah. See, and you can even add like different colors or count up, count down. Yeah, count up.
Yeah. Count up. Shit, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So I've been utilizing this a lot lately.
Uh-huh.
Pretty
People
cool.
like it.
Yeah. Um, I plan on doing like more of my own classes and stuff, and I have so far I have out one meditation and two or three classes. I can't remember. But I
Okay.
plan on doing more. I have uh some from when I've taught on in Brian's group that I've just kept because I did the Zoom. Uh,
Yeah.
so I just used my recording and put it up on a private YouTube thing, and then now it's on my course or whatever. And you
Okay.
can have access to the course. You gotta go through the. It's like Eric's. Wait, are you part of Flow Ops or have you ever been?
I was when you first started, but I haven't been. I want to get back in eventually.
Yeah,
I know you're talking. I looked at your Sam cart.
yeah,
Um, and so basically, you're just slowly building that up to what like kind of what Eric's doing and the whole
Yeah,
membership thing.
just
I like that.
doing my own thing with it, and not I'm not really advertising it as much, just because I don't think it's as big as I want it to be in order to charge for it yet. And I'm like, I've got other jobs, and I'm not like forcing how I run my business right now on like social media and stuff. I've
Yeah,
got a lot of clients just through word of mouth, so I'm not like worried about kind of
I
doing
feel
that.
it.
And I
I
yeah.
feel it. Yeah,
So
that's kind of how I want to do it right now is just build something. So that's what it looked like because I went through the whole Sam Cart thing a long time ago when I followed the Instagram ad and it was the guy who started it and blah blah blah,
yeah.
that thing.
So,
Um,
what are you looking to put up on there? Are you going to do your own thing?
yeah, I want to do something with the breath work and the artwork and then cycling and certain exercises for messing yourself up and then of course dogs are a big component of that. So I got a pretty big, not big. I have a significant amount of followers on my dog's Instagram, and I follow a lot of rescue groups who I'm rescue fostering two dogs right now. My dog passed away last month.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
you.
but yeah, but I got these two dogs. They're awesome right now. Um, but anyways, dog walkers and people who just have pets and like work with pets and rescue pets. They're all front chain because they're getting dragged around and they're
Mm,
constantly trying to pick up stuff. And so I want to help people in the that have dogs that want to like be more active and train their dogs better
mm-hmm.
and to offer my services to rescue group people or anybody who's a rescue advocate, just like free whatever sliding scale or donation or whatever, and help all these people that are stuck in the front chain by getting dragged by these dogs, which I know what that's like when you got a dog that pulls all the time. I mean, that's part of what messed me up, not just the bike and
Yeah,
my business that I had and just not getting a lot of rest and nutrition. I just pummeled myself for like 8 years.
yeah.
Um,
Well, if
so
you
anyway, that's an aspect.
honestly, if you want to use or utilize my platform in any way, I like um that's part of kind of what I've talked about in the past is creating sort of more of a hub of healers and different people who want to share different ways to just connect and sell products, but not even sell products, just exchange energy uh, in
Sure, thanks, man.
in any capacity and like whatever. Like if you're doing a donation base, there's an easy way to set people up with just an email and have them be now on this course, and then there's all this free information that they can have access to in turn. Like that'll be like what this as a recording, for example, or meditations or just collaborations with other people who are doing similar stuff. Uh, that's like sort of the point of not sort of, but it is the point of the New Earth hub and where I see kind of a lot of this energy going. It doesn't need to be in one in like all these different venues. It can you can find different things in one place, and I think that would be a cool thing to have and to offer people.
Yeah, cool. No, I like that. I know it's different than what a lot of people are doing. So
Yeah, and there's a way to organize it that I can definitely make it so, you can get compensated for whatever traffic gets drived, or you can set it up to have it so you can enroll people in specific courses that'll give them
sure.
access to whatever it is. Like Sam Card's pretty cool with that. Um, just that's kind of why I chose it. I was looking at it like from the back end of why, like how they operate and what it like how the back end works. But yeah, I think
So
that.
it could be more of a portal than other type of shit, dude. That's awesome. Where were you at and where were you sitting at when it hit you that was like, oh my god, that's what I want to do, or
So
how one aspect of my business.
one of the gene keys talks about the societal structures and how they function now, and how where they're going, and they used two words: hierarchy, which is what it is now. Everything's either a pyramid or just a straight line up, top down, like top guy gets paid the most, and then it just goes
Uh-huh.
down. And they mentioned another word called heterarchy, where you have sort of a group of individuals, and then they share resources and connections and information and just all of this stuff with another group that's similar, or just like the way energy and money and uh, all this exchange of information will eventually go is going to be beyond what we think it's going to be. So I was like, why not just start it now?
Mhm. Right. Yeah. And at your pace, just kind of
Yeah,
like,
like
yeah.
it doesn't like it's which is why I'm just letting it organically happen too, uh,
Uh-huh.
and just flow with it. And I think like I would really love to get somebody like Eric to combine it somehow, or to get like a group of healers to really come together and start doing more personal training on, because I've talked to him about his vision, and he wants to have like a 24-hour platform for people to be coached, and he wants to get a bunch of coaches to be able to offer Zoom sessions like that, where they're taking people through,
Yeah.
all these different healing modalities, whether it's go to breathing or
Uh-huh.
net, or whatever the newest kind of thing is, or whatever that person needs, uh, and have this system kind of set up. And I think that's kind of like where things are going in terms of the future. Um, everybody wants to be successful, and everybody wants all this stuff to, be prosperous so they can live
Yeah.
a comfortable life or a healthy life. But I think essentially it'll be bigger than that, and it'll be more of an energy exchange, and
Yes. Yeah.
that, abundance. There's like the one of the gene keys is talks about abundance as a city and as a higher frequency, and the more we embrace that as individuals, the more like we don't need to worry about the future of money, of any of that stuff.
Right.
Things will align, and people will recognize and start to gift each other this energy, and it'll just start to create more and more. And we don't need things to rely on. Like, we don't need to
Yeah.
rely on these hierarchy systems. You know
Yeah.
what I
I
mean?
do. I do. Yeah. I feel it a lot. I feel it a lot, man.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
if you're interested, I'd love to collaborate. I can even help do some sort of help you with like graphics or presentation, or we can even record something together in a bigger format. Um, but I essentially want to offer this to anybody who wants that type of um, to create something. You know, I think that would be beautiful. I also so this is being
Thanks.
recorded, and it's going to be, I'm going to upload it. It's the 10th one. I would love to get some of your artwork, even just one piece to throw on top of. I don't know if you've noticed, but the artwork keeps changing each week. I do one of these, and it's
Oh, okay. I'll send you my latest one, man. I found this wall up the street, and I go up there just before sundown because it's already shaded anyways. Um, wow. Uh, the shots I've gotten lately, especially last night, I just went up there like 10 minutes. I got a string hanging from the brambles up above down, and it's like it just hangs there, and I got a little clip. I just clip it, shoot it. I push my megabytes from it's just with the iPhone, but I got my megabytes on each picture up to around 6 megabytes versus like 3.4
oh yeah,
just
okay,
over there. I mean, I can't even I can't even wait any much longer until I get a real camera that has like 20 megs.
yeah.
Oh my god, dude, I'm already getting some good stuff with this. So yeah, thanks, man. All of it. Thank you. Thanks for today. I'll send that to you. What's just like through Instagram or something?
Yeah. Or yeah, Telegram or whatever works. I can even give you my phone number if it's like, or my email. Uh, if
Yeah,
it doesn't compress it too much or something, because sometimes the apps will do that or whatever.
yeah, text would probably be better. Yeah, I think I can hear you while I'm not on screen. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Let me get put in an address book here.
yeah. Um, but yeah, really cool. Great conversations today, man.
Yeah. Awesome. See, how do I get? Hang on, so I'll just put it in my
Yeah, I'm gonna
notes. All
stop
right.
the recording here because I think we're getting towards the end anyway.